Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. And as you can see, the whole panel were chomping at the bit to get on, William. We're left to hold the fort. What about that?
I think it might have been different if we won on Sunday, mate. But we'll fire through.
We'll fire through. There's already comments coming in. Brown Warriors in, 2, Danny McGrain, Sean Ross, Hill Boy, Shay67, Anthony, James, Peter. You're all welcome. I mean, there's only one place to start, really, in that game on Sunday. We all went into it really confident. We had a big extravaganza on the Friday about the Scottish Cup or kind of players, heroes from memories gone past, hoping to create new heroes going into this game. But just unfortunately, as we always do, William, a brief summary, it just didn't quite happen.
No, it didn't. I thought it was a decent game, to be honest with you. I watched back. I couldn't watch it all back again. Back the bad memories, but I watched the highlights again the day, and my mind was kind of changed a bit from when we first watched it round. So, decent game. Both sides had a go in the end, and unfortunately, we just came out on the wrong side.
Yeah, it's one of them ones. Like, you look back on our show we done on Friday, we were all confident, we're happy, and you kind of fast forward, and I think you're still struggling from the events that happened on Sunday with all you guys drinking. That would be right to say that.
Aye, it's weird. It's a strange one because right before the game, I said to Ross and Ross specifically and the boys, I was like, it's so strange because a couple of weeks ago in the league game, I was like super confident, and I'm never like that, especially when it comes to derby games. Never ever like that at all because you know it's just a one-off game and form kind of goes out the window sometimes. But at that game, I was super confident. I don't know why.
Yes.
I was before this game. I sat down and I said to Ross, I don't know why. I just don't feel, which is crazy because the one game between we just went and battered St Johnstone 7-0. So you think that would make you even more confident. I don't know if it was because it was a cup tie and if it's a league, we were still X amount of points ahead, and if we lost, we were all right. And this was just a one-off tie. I don't know if that made me nervous or so, but I don't know. There was something about it. But watching the game, during the game, I turning to the guys and I'm like, they've been a far better side. But when I watched it back, I'm not so sure that was the case, actually. I thought we had plenty. We had some really good chances and we just weren't clinical enough. And unfortunately, the Rangers had a couple of chances and they were more clinical, and that was a difference on the day, unfortunately.
Well, 100%. I mean, them being more clinical and then Brother Madden on the pitch, kind of stars align, but we'll get on to that. I mean, Feed the Bear comes in. Hey, boys, watching yourselves in the pool game. 2 or 3-0, the pool wee bet. Good luck on that one, Feed the Bear. I mean, there's already a comment by Shay67 here about Bobby Madden. We are going to come on to him, so we'll get there. But looking at the game, I 100% agree. I was watching it with my granddad, and I just had this feeling. You get like a feeling, and it's like, either it's not going to go well or it's going to be a dull game. And it was a bit of both. Obviously, it didn't go well. We got knocked out. Dull game in terms of what we actually produced on the day. The first half for me, we'll start with that. It was pretty even, back and forth. But one thing I do want to touch upon, I know we're going to talk about defence, but attacking ways, it just didn't seem to be there. I mean, Jota was doing his usual self, trying to get balls in the box, but even the likes of Mieta busted his balls, fair enough. Again, he gives you all his effort and pressing. He gives Goldson and McLaughlin, our keeper, a hard time, but there was just nothing really apart from that, in my opinion.
I think that's Big Gio's a massive miss. Then he's obviously battered the 2 centre halves in the last couple of games, and I thought he was a big miss. We didn't really have that vocal point. To be fair, although I do like Maeda through the middle as well. He's not as effective on the game, I don't think, as he is on the left. I thought Jota put in a good shift. I've seen a lot saying that he was poor, and a lot through social media saying he's not living up to the hype that he was doing at the start of the season. I thought he had a decent game. I thought he played some really dangerous balls in the box and worked hard. I thought Abada played decent as well. It's just weren't clinical enough. Like I say, some of these chances, I'm sure we'll go on to Hatate's especially. If he puts that away, I think it's a different game. CCV's hit the bar for 7 yards or so as well. I mean, if we put the chances away, it's a totally different game. Just one of these days at the office where we're not clinical enough. Unfortunately, the week before we were super clinical, and Sunday there it was the opposite. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, the CCV, the Carter Vickers chance was the whole commentator's curse thing after will be made the rule that missed chance, and we were to be fair. And Hatate, another great chance missed. I don't actually think he played amazingly well. He's kind of dipped in and out, but he did play okay. Colin McGregor again used a performance well. Seen him at the end with the team in the huddle again. They kind of G'd him up. But we'll start with, I mean, we took the lead, so it was a great kind of play, free kick play by Greg Taylor, Gregory, and even though he finished it, I still don't think he played particularly well. I thought he was a bit shaky. He was a bit giving the ball away. He wasn't going to his man as much as he did in the other Derby games, and then Starfield as well. And another factor I want to throw into that, they played obviously extra time against Braga. And it seemed like, to me, we were the tired side.
I would agree with that. And I wouldn't say I would agree with Taylor and Starfield being poor. I don't think there's anybody in the team I could say that were really, really poor, to be honest with you. I thought the team played decent. It wasn't to the standards that we have been the last few weeks, but I wouldn't be singling any of them out in particular, or anybody in the park, to be honest with you. I don't think there's anybody that I would be saying that.
Well, this is going to be a brief podcast.
When Gregory scored, the place went nuts. So I just started screaming his name over and over and over again, because you know how much a fan I am of his, and it's more so because of the stick he gets, unwarranted stick. I think he gets off his own fan base. So it was great to see him score. I don't even think we played that bad defensively either, to be honest with you. The 2 goals, second goal's a bit. Obviously, he scored. It's an own goal, isn't it? Off Starfield in the end. But it's a difficult cross to take in. But I do agree with you. I think we looked in extra time like we were tiring and they were in the ascendancy, which it shouldn't have been the case. We had a week off and they've just went through extra time 3 or 4 days previous. So, yeah, they just wanted it more in the end, I think.
I think Kenny comes in here for a good point. I mean, our midfield was missing apart from Colin McGregor, who was having to do the work of 3 players. I actually agree with that, William. And watching the game, you've obviously watched it back again with fresh eyes and stuff, but in that heat of emotion, I'm watching it and I'm not cursing every player who's making mistakes, but you know me, I'm very passionate and off the cuff, so I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And then you look at Hatate, sometimes he doesn't track his man. You look at Rodzik. For me, I thought that he was poor.
I'll give you that. See when I said I can't say
he's
Rogic was, that's one of the worst games I've seen him in a Celtic shirt. That we were all screaming after half an hour, 40 minutes to say that there needs to be a change and O'Reilly needs to come on, because it just wasn't coming off for him. He wasn't beating his men. He was giving the ball away. He was sloppy. It's unfortunate. He just didn't have a great half. But I totally agree with that, Rogic. I'm not so much on the Hatate either. I thought he had a decent game. I thought he did do well. It's the only downfall I'd say with him was his finish. He should bust the net with his chance that he's got. He's through 1-on-1 with the keeper pretty much. I thought he played well. I thought he dug in. I thought he tackled. I thought he worked hard. I thought his passing was decent. So I wouldn't so much have a go at Hatate, but Rogic had a very poor game. I've got to say that.
Yeah, he did. I think Joe Finlay, your friend, isn't
he? Yes, he is.
Yeah, he came in there, but it's way up the list. He goes, how many beers did Willie have? There was loads of players off the battle.
I had far too many. That's why I had to watch it back.
I think as well, say 67 degrees, thought Rozzy was an empty jersey, and I love him. We all love him too, but you have to point out when he was poor. I thought he was absolutely one of his worst performances this season. Nothing was coming off. You could see he was trying his wee tricks and flicks, but just nothing stuck to him like it always does. And like another thing as well, we talked about on Friday's show was the treble. And to be in this position, obviously, from last season, people, like us in particular, at the start were going, oh, this is going to be a season of either transition, rebuild, we have to take what we're given kind of thing, if we're in there with a league touch and distance. But we were in the shout for a treble up until Sunday. Looking at it now, are you disappointed that that's not going to happen?
There definitely is disappointment there, but I'm not one for... I'm like... My mindset's like what Calmac was at the end of the game, and I think he said since to the media, whereas we can't let one game or one loss dictate our season. We've been absolutely immense this year. So I would hate to think that because of this result, it starts a deterioration or a mindset. And I've seen it, you know me with social media, like sometimes I just need to turn it off. I hate it. And it was the same, I had to do that yesterday and Sunday because it's just all negativity, which I can't believe where we are now from the end of the season. And I understand we're disappointed with the result. Many would say the performance was below par. I agree to an extent. I don't think we were totally outplayed even though when I was watching the game, I thought the Rangers 2012 Old Firm FC, whatever they're calling themselves now, I thought at the time they were the better side. When I've watched it back, I thought we've had just, I think the chances we've had are clearer chances. They tested their keeper, but a lot of them were from outside of the box. Great strikes, no doubt, in the great strikes from Roof and Lundstrom, but nothing, no clear cut chances like we had with Hatate and CCV in particular. So, like I say, on another day, we win that. But I mean, Ange and the team have set the standards so high this season. Mm-hmm. I can understand why people are disappointed because it was below par when you look at it that way. I just think it was one of those days. Unfortunately, we've came out on the losing side. But if you offered me a double at the start of the season, I'd have snapped your hand off. If you offered me a double last week, I wouldn't have been. I thought we were clear favourites, especially after they went deep into extra time midweek as well. So I can understand people's disappointment, but I'm in the same mindset as Calmac, where we can't let this one result ruin all the hard work that we've done throughout the whole season. It's been an immense season, and if where it looks like we're going to wrap up the league as well, we all say that's the most important thing. European football next year, another transfer window under our belt. The future looks bright with Ange, and I'm still on board. I'm still on board the confident Ange train. I'm not dragging the team down.
100%, no chance in Ian McIntosh. I'm a bit busy in Cup Final Day anyhow. I think we all are now. But I mean, you look at it, I think as well, you touch on the disappointment, but again, you counteracted that with Ange's positivity and the team set the bar. So you can see why people are upset. Obviously, there's some stupid off-the-cuff remarks like on Twitter or whatever it may be. You're like going, just calm the bap here, calm the bap. But you did bring up Jota. Now, this is quite interesting. He sparked a lot of debate recently after this game, especially on the Twitter sphere. The Twitter sphere, Willie, did you hear? But it seems like to me that a lot of fans have the perception that his head's gone. He doesn't look like he's playing for the jersey. And obviously, them rumours about Benfica offering him 3 times his wage to keep him as his boyhood club with them. He's only scored 1 goal in 17 appearances. Got that off the Premier Sports, by the way. I never found that out myself, but you know what I mean? Still, stat man. But where do you think that stands? I mean, if you're going permanent now with Jota, 6.5 million, do you think it maybe cut our losses or keep him going, keep him at the club?
I would still keep him. I'm not of the fact. I'm not with the fan base that say that he's off the boil and all the rest of it. Yes, he's not. His form's dipped a bit. I don't think he's been as effective as he has been, but I thought he was excellent on Sunday. I thought he created some really good chances. I know for me, he needs to work on his shooting a bit because the amount of times he's been cutting in and ballooning it in the rose edge. But I mean, another great chance for us was that ball he pulled across the 6-yard box, and McLaughlin's got a hand to it, but there's nobody there. I think Big Gio's playing. He's playing that poacher's role, and he's right in there. I thought it was another great ball. And if again, you talked about the stats there, that's a superb ball. If we've got a striker on the end of that and he puts it in the back of the net, nobody's talking about Jota's performance and how he's dipped. Everybody's talking about his assist. So we're fickle as fans sometimes, I think. I would most definitely be, especially if we win the league and we're getting this big pot of cash at the end of the rainbow. I think the first 2 things that Ange would be looking to do, and me as a fan, I would want to see is CCV and Jota on the door first of all, and then work on more signings for there. So for me, I think he's an excellent player, an excellent prospect, and if we get the chance to sign him for 6 million or 6.5, I think it's an absolute snip in this market. I think it's a no-brainer. You've got to do it. But I understand why people are saying he's a bit off the boil. I do understand it because he's not. But I think it's a victim of his own downfall because he was the first half of the season or the first third of the season or so. That game, we played Dundee and him and Kyogo we scored 2 or 3 goals and the 2 of them, they're interchanging play and he was just ghosting by players. So I can understand why people say he's went off the boil, but I still think when you see him on social media and he's still in and about the fans, and you see his patter on the Celtic Instagram pages and all that, I think he has grown an affinity for the club. and he's not a bad player, even though his form might have dipped for the start of the season. I still don't think that makes him a terrible player. He's still a good, decent player when his form's dipped. So you've got to sign him.
I mean, we must have splinters. We're on this fan so high right now, aren't we? We're not giving a definite answer. Like, Gio Patrick comes in. William, no way, Jota play well. You must have his name in the back of your top or LOL. I think it's what people are probably getting at, William, is the price tag, obviously, right? You're saying the 6.5 million. For me, I think people are right when they're expecting more. I think Jota's been off the boil. Yes, he shows it in flashes. He's got a couple of great assists for the whip ball in for Maeda against the Johnson was a cracker, his header. He can pull off brilliant, spectacular skills, leave people for dead. I think you're right, his shooting needs polished up. It's shocking sometimes. I was half expecting a ball to come from my own window. But do you not think, looking at it now, right, people, I've seen a few polls on Twitter. One I just actually photo on before it came on, but I think it was Come On the Hoop Celtic, was would you rather have Jota or Carter Vickers? I picked Carter Vickers, and I think a lot of people are starting to go that way.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's because of the options we've got in each area for me. CCV's been colossal this year. We talk about him being one of the players of the season. So I can totally understand that viewpoint. I totally agree. CCV is by far and away our best centre-half. It's not even close with anybody else. Whereas Jota's, we've got a lot of decent players in the position. I know Ross spoke about it in another podcast, saying how I think Maeda's a stick-on for that left wing, and I totally agree. But I just feel like people are jumping on Jota's back a bit. I don't think he's turned into a horrendous player overnight. I think he's done decent. I don't think he's shooting for the stars like he was at the start of the season, but I still think he's doing a job, and I think he's one of these players that can change a game with one moment of brilliance. And like I said, if you're pushing me for a choice between two, CCV all day long.
Yeah.
But with the money and the pot we've got, and in this market, in this day and age, 6.5 million for a player of Jota's quality is an absolute steal. And go and get both.
Get both. Be gritty. Be gritty. Get the lid off that biscuit. And do you know what I'm actually loving as well? There's so much positivity in the comments, regardless of the result there in the weekend. Yes. But it's great. It's great to see the interaction as well. Joe Finley comes in, another great commentator. I want to get your opinion on this. Maeda is never a Celtic, a centre forward. I thought that said Celtic for some reason, but he's never a centre forward. I tend to agree, right? I'll give my reason. I think, yes, he has great movement and pace, but on that left-hand side, he's dynamite. He gives no one a chance. He presses the whole back four does from that one position. When I watched him against Rangers in the weekend, yes, he gets great positions, but he doesn't have that same intelligence movement as either a Kyogo or the strength of a Giakoumakis. Where do you think he's best suited then?
Definitely on the left wing. It's funny because when he first joined us, his first few games, if I remember correctly, he was put up front. Excuse me, and then kind of shifted out to the left. And I was always of the thought, the same as Kyogo, that he's better as a centre forward. And Kyogo, when he got put out on the left, I was like, you're missing a trick, because he's pressing and his determination and how he's in your face. But I've totally flipped that opinion. He's most definitely been more effective for us on the left wing. I think the problem with him is his finishing hasn't been the best. I think he's been in certain situations and he's not put the ball in the back of the net. Most of his goals have been that he's in the right place at the right time. But we've been saying for weeks and weeks now, he's just as effective going back the way, defending, as he is going forward. And I think you lose a bit of that when he's up front. I was surprised we didn't start with Kyogo on Sunday. I was really, really surprised. A 50, 60, 70% fit Kyogo won us a League Cup final. So exactly. It was surprising for me that he didn't go there. But in saying that, I wasn't too disappointed to see Maeda up front. I think he leads the line. He can lead the line, and we've always seen it. He's pressing. He can try and get the team forward, but for me, he's much, much far better on the left wing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And in terms of the Kyogo thing, I was surprised at that as well. I really thought he would start even 60 minutes, give it his all. Do you think maybe looking back in hindsight, that's probably an Ange Postecoglou type, not mistake, but regret?
I don't know, because I don't know the extent of the injury, and I don't know how fit he is. But for me, if you're fit enough to be in the bench, you're fit enough to start.
Yeah.
I don't understand this. I never ever understand this. If your best player's coming back and he's fit enough for the last half hour or 40 minutes or so, why not give him the first half, see what he can do, let him do the damage, and then look to change it then. If you do the opposite, then sometimes it's too late. I personally would have liked to have seen him start, but my view is if you're fit enough to be in the bench, then you should be fit enough to start. If it means you're only giving up 45 minutes or a half, then fair enough. But I don't see why you shouldn't be starting.
100%. I think as well, what Kyogo gives you is that kind of fear presence, because people know what they expect of him. Them 2 fantastic goals in the League Cup final where he just destroyed the other team, and it's what you need in that type of game. It is what we were missing, that cutting edge. And one player we definitely did miss was Giakoumakis.
Mm-hmm.
The guy just proved how much of an absolute monster and the goal scoring form he was on. We missed that presence up front. Yes, Maeda gives you the press, but he would have hassled them, Goldson and Bassi, all day long in the extra time. Maeda could have worked off the left again. For me, Giakoumakis was a massive, massive miss.
Yeah, he's, like I said earlier on, he's that vocal point as well. It's like Maeda. Yes, Michael, that's what I like to see. Maeda, he can do the press, but I think we need somebody. When Maeda wins the ball in the press, there's no forward pass for him or somewhere to drive for him.
Yeah.
Big Gio, I think the Rangers fans, team, coaching staff would have been rubbing their hands when they seen that Gio was out and Kyogo wasn't starting. As much as Abad has been absolutely superb this year, and I don't think he particularly had a bad game. He didn't do great. I don't think he'd had a terrible game either. They would have been rubbing their hands to see that he was starting. Gio's been nothing short of our best player the last few months, scoring goals for fun.
Easy.
And like I say, I thought we did have some dangerous moments and balls in the box, and I think if we have a penalty box striker in there, he puts one of them away. So massive miss for us, definitely.
See as well, like on the GG thing, do you think it might be worth Celtic's while signing another striker like him? Because I think once you took him out of the team, right, and obviously at the start of the season we're all on his back because he missed that penalty against Livingston. He's come back, proved us all wrong, scored goals for fun, took defenders to the cleaners, wee back heels and all finishes, one-touch finish. When you took him out, as you said, there was balls being whipped into the box, right? They weren't being took advantage of. Maeda doesn't quite get there, obviously, because he's not small in stature, but he doesn't quite get there, make the runs. Abada and Jota weren't in the same wavelength. Do you think it might be worth Celtic's while to get another bustling striker in, like a man who can hold the ball up, bring other people into play?
I'm not so sure, because the first half of the season without him, we weren't playing that way, and Kyogo was still banging goals in for fun. So I think
we also got beat. We also got beat in the first derby game.
We did. I've always said for the start, even when he missed that penalty against Livingston, I said this guy is going to score goals in this team because of the way we play. Like I say, a Gary Hooper or somebody like that, penalty box striker, with the way we play, we're interchanging and getting the ball wide and getting into the box. Players like him are going to score goals. So for me, I would more love somebody else to come in that's like him also for another option. But I'm not so sure the manager would see it that way. Kyogo's a centre forward for Ange. I don't think he likes playing him wide, and I totally agree with him. And he's just a different option. It will be interesting to see once they're both fit. We've talked about playing the fixture and the team rather than just who your first 11 is. And I know that like Gio's going to go up against teams that are far more suited to him than Kyogo is, and vice versa. But I don't know if he's looking at it that way, because, like I say, the first half of the season, Kyogo was fine, and he's not the same type of player, so I don't think it's a necessity. But I can see what you're saying. For me, somebody that will stand in that box, hustle and bustle centre halves, strength, power, good in the air, like you say, one-touch finish, and they'll score goals in this team.
Where
you're from. So, if there's another option for somebody else like that, then I don't see why not.
Yeah, and Kevin comes in here. I think this is a great point. We have Kyogo to cover Maeda on the left. We need another GG for centre for cover, and I fear for Forrest going forward, as it's Jota and Abada on the right. Obviously, if Jota stays, pending the permanent deal. One thing I want to touch upon, there's so many great comments coming in here as well. Now, Legranda comes in. I would love Forrest to have played early in the game, right? I can't disagree, right? I'm off the mindset yesterday again, kind of cemented my kind of thought that Forrest is on the decline. I think it's fair enough to say. The pace of the game, he didn't match it. Even in extra time, he didn't match it. And I'm not saying he won't feature going forward, but what I'm saying is his kind of productivity or his kind of levels he's going to reach is going to be at a minimum. And therefore, I don't think he'll be like a Celtic regular, if you get me. Yes, he can come off the bench and get involved, but for me, he's not good enough to start a game. Not good enough, but you know what I mean in terms of his levels of performance at the minute.
I know what you're saying, and I know with the people we've got in these positions now, I totally understand, and I agree. He's down the pecking order. He totally is. I just feel like he still has a lot to offer. He's shown it a few times. He's barely featured due to injury. When he has, he scored in the cup to put us through, didn't he? And put us through the League Cup final. Come on and score. Did he?
I think he did, yeah. But you get what I mean.
Levy, and then Levy. I know, but this is what I'm just trying to counteract that by saying, I understand what you mean. For me, he's third choice right winger at the moment. Was it Kenny's comment about the cover? For me, like I said, and Kyogo's not a winger in Angie's eyes, and in my eyes also. So for me, it's Gigi Kyogo up top, and I know Kyogo can fill in these positions, which is great for us to have. But it'll be Maeda, Jota on the left, and Abada, and then potentially Forrest. And I know Jota will go right, and Abada will be right, and all the rest of it as well. Forrest has had injuries this season. When he has came in, I think he's done Levy came in and brilliant. Everybody's talking about how he's back and he's the next best thing again, and then he's not on the team again. I totally hear what you're saying, Stephen. I do agree. He's not going to get anywhere near the first team squad on current form. I think he's definitely good enough to come back and play a massive part. I don't think that he's on a decline that much that it's a get rid of or sell job. I still think as a squad player and with his experience, he's and his love for Celtic, he's been here like Calmac since he was a boy. I wouldn't be getting rid of him, but I hear what you're saying. He's not going to get anywhere near the first 11 for. If everybody's fit, he's second or third choice for me. But this is what we talked about with young Dembele as well. Dembele's even further down the pecking line for me.
Apparently, he had a blinding game today in the younger team against Rangers. Funny enough, so yeah.
Well, I just think I think this is obviously it's a good thing for us. The squad's that deep now, and we've got great options in different positions that the likes of Forrest are hardly getting a look in, but he's not finished for me yet. I don't see it. You seen him? Kyogo had that chance where he's hit it, and Forrest is trying to get him an overlap, and Forrest is cursing him after it when Kyogo's taking the shot, and he's cursing him. He wanted to be involved. He wanted to get in play. So Forrest isn't finished for me yet, but I can understand why people say that. But for me, he's not. He's got to stay in about the squad.
Yeah. Kevin comes in here again to back up his point. Forrest would be like Beaton going forward as a utility. I agree with that. I think
that's fair enough.
Yeah. I think that's kind of where he's sitting. And obviously, it's no disrespect. I mean, that there clip doing the rounds of him being absolutely roasted in a sprint race after I think it was Calvin Bassey played 220 minutes of football, and he's just roasting James Forrest for pace. You know what I mean? I think them types of thing, the types of days where Forrest can go by players for me is kind of minimal now, and it's not sad to say it's going to happen eventually. He's getting older, he's a winger, his input's going to go down. But I agree with you, William, 100%. Is the experience so vital to the club? No way am I saying get him out the door. Hell no. The guy's won everything with Celtic. He's won quadruple trebles. He needs to be in that. Do you know what I mean? He needs to be there. And I think for everyone who is watching the Man United game, just a quick side note, I think they're falling apart here. Liverpool's smashing them at the minute. I don't know if you know the score, but people are commenting.
I don't, but I could see that coming a mile away.
Back and forth here. And see as well, another one Kevin brings up, which I think is great to see. Can you see Ideguchi becoming more important as a hard tackling dynamo? Him, Calmac and O'Reilly. I tend to agree with that. I want to see more of him. Do you think?
Definitely. I've heard so many good things about him. Saying that, you talk about him coming in, and that does that mean the end of Beaton as well? So there's lots of narratives that could happen at the end of this season. Definitely, in games like this as well. But again, the midfield three that have been excellent. Like nobody would have dropped Rogic for the start of that game on Sunday. I don't care what you say. He's been absolutely electric the last 3 or 4 months, and he's got to play. Granted, after half an hour, we're all one of them hooked off because. But again, I think that's because Rangers done a good job on him. They've obviously seen he's a threat, and they've put 2 or 3 men on him. But usually dances around 2 or 3 men with ease, and it just wasn't happening. O'Reilly for me is going to be an absolute beast. I think he's different class. I'd love to see more of him going forward. The Gucci thing is it's a strange one because he's obviously fully fit again, and I'd like to see more of him. I think the way we play, it would be nice to have that bit of safety in that anchor role, but we all talk about how much Calmax, our quarterback, and playing in that role, and he's the one that drives the team on. But we also talk about how Calmax's best positions are number 8. So he can't win. But I think the way we play, it would be nice to have a number 6 that is a number 6 that does sit there and mop up in his games just to kick people, win the ball, and play it to the likes of Calmac and O'Reilly's and Rogic's. So hopefully we get to see a bit more of him the tail end of this season, if not a lot in pre-season. And listen, it's so good to talk about all the options we've got or we're going to have. We want to see more. I
think Postecoglou said about him as well. He's one of the best trainers at the club. Yeah, do you know what I mean? There must be something.
This is what we're all. It seems like everybody's kind of. I'm not having a go or jumping on, but it's been one bad result. If this was last week, nobody's saying we'll change that midfield 3, and because we've just been beaten in a result and we weren't hammered, I thought it was a pretty even game. And now it's like, no, he can't play. He's not playing. I don't want him. I'm just like, chill a bit, man. We're all right. It's been one result. We'll go and smash Sunday next week, and everybody will say we're the best team in the land again.
I think as well, Michael McDonald actually came in and said Celtic are still the best team in the country. I totally agree. Yeah. And looking at the comments, I mean, all the guys are getting involved in good debate, and it's great to see. Martin Kay comes in. Do you think Julian will play on Sunday if Carter Vickers is injured? Obviously, he's referring to the fact that Carter Vickers had one leg at the end of that game. He could barely move. And again, for me, another contentious issue was Welsh came on, and all the bait he was playing right back. He was absolutely honking. Couldn't pass the ball 5 yards in front of him. People are saying he shouldn't get another game in a Celtic shirt. Obviously, off the cuff remarks, I know. But do you think it's time Julian maybe got the chance if Vickers was out?
I would love to see Julian. I'm a big Julian fan. I thought he was superb for us in his first season. I'm surprised he's not figured in the team since he's came back his injury. We talked about it before. I think his first game back on the bench was like Salawa or something.
Yeah.
We've played Wraith in the Cup, all these teams. And I understand you need to get a bit of continuity, especially with CCV and Starfelt. They were building a good partnership. You'd not want to stop. But the odd game here and there, I'd have loved to have seen Julian come in. I think he's a great talent. Like I say, his first season he was superb with us. But it doesn't seem like Ange fancies him. Welsh is getting in ahead of him as well. It's a strange one because I think he would suit. He was very comfortable with the ball at his feet, passing it out for the back. Nowhere near as good as Van Dijk, but very Van Dijk-esque the way he plays. He's just tall, strong man. Like I say, comfortable with the ball at his feet and attacks him. I think he's a perfect fit for Ange's philosophy. And I'm surprised we've not seen him yet, which makes me wonder if he is going to feature at any point for us, because I'm not sure, but I think he's got another year left in his contract, and then that's him.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see him out the door. I don't want it. I think he could be excellent for us again, and he could definitely challenge Starfelt for that other starting centre half position, in my opinion, if he gets back to his best. So I'm surprised we've not seen him at all this season. I'd love to see him get a chance, like Ideguchi, these players in the next run again. Hopefully we're at the league up with a couple of games to go, and we can maybe see 2 or 3 of these guys get a run out again.
I think Ian McIntosh comes in here. I think the club wants Julian out the door, big earner and made of glass. I mean, what I think in terms of that, see the transfer fee, you're not recouping that 7 million for a 29-year-old. Not a chance. You'll get about 2.53 million back to France or something. But I think like you're thinking, Julian for us was an absolute. He was a great defender. Yes, he got bullied sometimes by Lyndon Dykes, the guy who always gets brought up and Julian's mentioned. But he scored some vital goals in the League Cup against Rangers. He scored against Lazio in Europe, in league games. Do you know what I mean? Tough venues to visit. He's been there, he's done it. And it's just unfortunate he whacked his knee off the post and he was out for nearly 2 years because of that horrible injury he had. And looking at it now, you do think like William, the Postecoglou maybe does want him away. Maybe he's not quick enough. We've seen him when he came on that game. He was really slow, lethargic, but again, ring rust and all that. You know what I mean? That adds up to match fitness. If you're doing that, then does that point to maybe that we're signing Vickers on a permanent?
I would say so. I think you've got to do it either way.
Yeah, well, yeah, but
no, I see. I hear what you're saying. Like I said, it does look like Ange doesn't fancy him. For whatever reason, we're not getting to see what he's doing in training day in, day out. So I'm not going to think of Ange's judgment, but like I say, for me, his profile, he fits Ange's philosophy perfectly. So it's a strange one. It does seem that sadly that's the case. But CCV's got to be our number one option this year in the summer transfer market. They've got to get it done. That's like there's no bones about it. Give him what he wants. If he wants to triple his wage or whatever, just give him it. Because he's essential to this team this year. And he's still a young boy, and he's got absolutely everything, the attributes to play that position. With this philosophy, he's got a lot, so he needs to be the number one target.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole lot of debate now coming in about Brother Madden, and it kind of brings me onto the kind of side issue here. And Danny Boy comes in, Arfield hugging Madden said it all for me. But right, okay, is that what that is? Mad Hun? I just thought it was a misspelling there, but fair enough. But I mean, looking at the game, right? Let's not make excuses, right? We didn't play well. We didn't. Well, we're not the game. We're not the races. Couple of nice chances, yes, we should have finished them. Carter Vickers hit the bar, took that chance. It might have been different. But Lundstrom played UFC for however many minutes he was on that pitch for. I've seen Celtic players getting clattered. Conor McGregor was spun up in the air, albeit it was a clean tackle, but it was rough and tumble. Yes, we like the derby games to be that, but you need the punishment to go with it, the yellow cards, the wardens. Madden posting the picture in his Instagram, happy Sunday to one and all, or something like that, and Chris Boyd come underneath it. Chris Sutton gets involved, and John Hartson gets involved. And where do you set this? Because I know John will be chomping at the bit to get his side of the story in, but back down to the podcast now. But what do you think about this?
I thought he had a really, really poor game, and I'm not one for bashing referees. I think it's a difficult job, but he was poor. We were sitting screaming at some of the decisions were ridiculous. I mean, Lundstrom shouldn't have been on the park. He should have been off. Yeah, and then posting stuff on Instagram after it. Happy Easter. It's not a good look, is it? I don't understand. Like there needs to be some sort of sanction or something for that, because it's bonkers. But again, it's just a reoccurring theme this year, unfortunately, and it's not just for us, but many teams in the Premier League that the refereeing performance is well below par. I mean, you had the one, was it Motherwell, where the fan pretty much belted the player and he kind of pushed back and he got percent off for it or something. I mean, the standard of refereeing is just it's been poor all round, and there's obviously some news today which we'll touch on later on, which might help them. But shocking performance by Bobby Madden.
For me, it was like Joe Finley comes in. The 40s, like every job, should be a praise of performance. Bobby Madden was a disgrace to professional referee, and he did not manage the flow of the game. Howling decisions. I totally agree. I mean, there was obviously some in both sides, but majority it was on the Rangers team. Lundstrom, I don't know what kind of sport he was playing. McGrandy came up with a comment earlier. His arm wrestling allowed in football. That's what it was like. It was madness at points. And Aribo for me should have been sent off. Calvin Bassey was walking the tightrope. There were so many players that made awful tackles or professional fouls, as the commentators like to call them. But if you accumulate that over a space of time, 5, 6, 7, whatever it may be, surely that has to be punished, and not smiled at and get up and get on with it. And
that's what I was just about to say. It's I can understand the flow of the game, and like he's been on a booking. That's one we'll let that slide. But when it's 3, 4, 5, 6 fouls there needs to be something coming along. But I don't know. I don't know if it's the fear of the match, the fear of the derby, letting things go a bit more than they should. But it was a shocking. And I like, you know me on this pod, when it comes to referees, I let John in that slate them. I'm not one for bashing them, but it was a shocking performance. But saying that's not the reason we lost the game.
No.
See, when you see, I see all over social media and that, it's mad, and I don't believe we lost the game because of his performance. Yes, I suppose in a way it does affect the result, but we just weren't at the races, and unfortunately they had their two shots, too clinical. They were a bit more clinical than us in that end of the pitch. But yeah, shocking performance from Madden.
Yeah, I think as well, like the frustration were many attacks that he break up for Celtic, and then that mystifying free kick. Have you seen the clips of that?
It felt like a rugby match at one point because it was that stop.
It was absolutely crazy. And then what's this here? I think this is what I'm alluding to. Lanky67, welcome to the show again. Great you're watching. We got a free kick. Turnbull took it, pinged it to the left. We were on the attack and had a few players up. Madden blew the whistle and gave the free kick to them. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Thanks for actually saying that. In what world does that happen?
I don't know. We were all ripping pillows up in my house and ready to punch each other at that point.
You didn't rip the Anne's pillow, did you?
No. That's still cuddling me at night, so it's okay. I don't know what more to say on his performance. Honestly, it was just poor performance. And it's like it's the whole Instagram thing after it's what's got me. If you have a performance like that, you should be hiding your head in shame. Never mind, posting up things like that. Especially when in the past you've got connections or ties where previous with that club, and it's just not a good look. Especially when the likes of Chris Boyd are coming in it as well. It's just it's not a good look, is it?
No, I think to sum it up as well, I think KGM here's on your side. You would want to win the game in the manner of the ref on your side. It's a bit disingenuous, but we should have played the ref out of that game. I totally agree. Ryan Kelly comes in. Oh, hold on. Aribo was lucky that his follow through in the relatives didn't get pulled up and give him a second yellow. I agree with that as well. There were some absolute howlers of decisions, and we'll move on to the topic that came out today, and it kind of brings us on perfectly to it. This is VAR. William is going to be implemented. Is it halfway through next season?
Right after the World Cup, so it's
so strange. So
we're not having it before. Yeah. It's right after the World Cup, after the 22nd of December. So madness, man. I mean, if you like, I understand the vote's been made and that's the decision, which is fine. It's fair enough. The boys talked about it a few pods ago. I'm of the same sort of ilk, whereas I don't like it in the game. I think what we just talked about, where it turned into like a rugby match and it's two stop start and it interrupts the flow of the game, and there's certain parts of the game where it's like scoring a goal and feeling that elation, and then all of a sudden it's just chopped off after 5 minutes. It's for me, it's just, and I understand the pros and cons. There's obviously definitely pros for it, but that's the decision, which is fair enough. Surely referees can't get away with certain decisions that we're talking about, like we are if VAR's involved. It's coming in, but for me, if it's coming in, you get it in for the start of the season. You can't be doing that halfway through the season. It's so
strange. That decision again, it's just again points to the absolute chaos as Scottish football is at the highest level. And I think 100%. Martin Kay comes in. I think Martin Kay comes in here perfectly. I'm worried about the guys who will be operating the VAR. And John Harson, William actually touched upon that in his interview about it. He says they kind of get English retired referees up, or whoever it may be, to kind of be impartial. I totally agree. And people will obviously say that I sound paranoid or conspiracies, but it's true. Like the referees, regardless of what team's involved, have proved this year, you said it perfectly in the last kind of segment, that they're inept of giving the right decision. And when it's presented to them, like Bobby Manton, they call back free kicks and give it to the other team. So surely there has to be either a clear out at the top level in terms of refereeing, or implement it at the start of the season, get the training in progress, get them all trained up on it and ready to go. It's so strange.
Yeah, well, even see the thing with VAR is there's still human error there. There's still somebody making a decision and a judgment. But for me, just to go back to this starting the second half of the season nonsense. I just can't wrap my head around that there's points to be won in this league season, and a decision that gets made the first half of the season in the second half of the season is going to be made in a totally different way, and that's collating points in a league season. It's obviously not fair. It's absolute madness, but you're bang on. It's just Scottish football, and the powers that be are just fucking useless. And the fact that we're not going to get it in before the start of the season, if that's the case, then it doesn't start this next season. It starts the season after. It's absolute madness that they're bringing it in halfway through a season.
Yeah, it's craziness. And McGranda comes in here kind of to finish off what we were speaking about. The extra day didn't do Celtic any good. I actually totally agree with that. Momentum was with Rangers all through that game. But in terms of the VAR decision, like as you said, points are to be won. So what if something happens in the first part of the season? Then the VAR comes in, people are going, what if this happened then? Blah, blah, blah. And then if you have a person like Neil Doncaster who sells Scottish football for a 5p and a Freddo to Sky Sports, and it doesn't get shown, there's games which are live and they black it out and we have to pay for it again, pay-per-view via our own club website. It's an absolutely shocking decision. Mm-hmm. And I think you're 100% right. The VAR for me should not be implemented, regardless of how much moaning we do about officials. I like moaning about officials, especially when it's warranted. And I think
you're taking the magic and the history out of football. That's what football's all about. But like you said, the first half, say for example, and I'll flip it round. It's first half of the season. We've scored the goal. It's offside by a foot or so. And then second half of the season, for example, Sevco, the Rangers, whatever they're called, they score a goal. And it's the exact same. And it's a foot offside. VAR chops it off. How is that fair?
Yeah, it's shocking. I think as well, Joe comes in. Guys, be clear, it is not consulted for 95% of what Madden decides. And this is not me basing off what happened that game. It's not. It's a whole process with Scottish football. The referees are absolutely shambolic, right? You look at it, the VAR is meant to improve referees, but if you look at what happened down in England or Bundesliga, well, they have it probably more perfected, but we'll start with the EPL. It takes them like three minutes to make a decision. Mm-hmm. They're looking at lines about this fin, and it just makes it more like robotic, and you can almost see in the future when these VAR decisions are being made, like adverts will come on, like NFL or American football. That's not what you want.
No, that's true, mate. That's true. I hear you. I don't. For me, it's not like I've never been a fan of it, but it's here now, and it's the way things are going forward, and that's how it's going to be. And if we talk about how paranoia's in and all the rest of it, and there's certain decisions, certain ways. Well, this should sort that sort of side of things out. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. And we'll just briefly touch upon the game coming up. Obviously, we'll touch about it in more depth on Friday's show. It's Ross County, which is on the Sunday at 2:30 at Dingwall, a game that proved vital before Ralston got that last-minute winner. We know their game's been moved back to the Saturday when they're playing Motherwell to help them in their European exploits. But for us, focusing on us, Dingwall, tough. We need to get our heads over this and get wrapped up in the league pretty quickly, don't we?
Definitely. It's not the best game to go into after a defeat. Ross County have been really very, very good this season. I don't see us going too dissimilar from the team from Sunday. I think he'll keep it the same. Like I say, it's not one bad result doesn't justify our season. I think we'll go on again and hopefully we turn Ange ball back on, because it was sadly lacking on Sunday, and get a result and keep going and win the league, which is, listen, see we win the league in 4 weeks' time, everybody will be looking back at that result. They've forgotten about it.
I think, like as you said, if someone offered you a double, you'd take it at the start of the season. The way we were absolutely shammed. The whole transition, I know it annoyed me, and we got quite a few heated debates in group chats and podcasts. I hated that word, but when you look back on it now, you look where we are, you would take the league and the League Cup easy, 100%. It's a great season. Trebles, it actually just shows you how much trebles are actually difficult to do. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? It's like a rare thing. We made it look easy for 4 years, but when you get back to reality again, it is tough. And looking upon it now, like in hindsight, Postecoglou building this team for years to come, it's pretty confident. As you said, the options are plentiful, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. What he's done in 2 windows is nothing short of a miracle. Totally rebuilding the squad and getting the team playing the way we're playing. If he's done that in 8 months or however long it's been here, I imagine what he's going to do in 2 or 3 years' time. It's an absolute astounding first season. If if we go and wrap up the league, which we're expected to do. It's nothing short of miraculous what he's done in his time here. I agree with our favourites on Sunday, and the way we've been playing, we should have won that. But that's a great point from Ian. Yep, motivation. Yep. Go on, boys, now and smash every game from now until the end of the season, and let's get this league won.
Yeah, Steve McDonald comes in looking good. 2022. Feed the Bear is talking about the fight this weekend. Tyson's back. Yep, he's fighting. Who is it again? Who is he again?
White.
You know who he is? White. Dylan White. I thought it was Wilder for some reason.
He's never shown up to anything, so that's why I forgot his name. All the
press. Why he's not showing up to the press conference.
He's not showing up to fucking anything.
But another quick thing here before we go is kind of a side note. I mean, Malky Mackay, the Ross County manager, has been linked with the Hibs vacancy. Sean Maloney, let go. Bit of a shock.
Madness. Absolute madness. 4 months. It's like you can't polish a turd. Hibs are expecting Maloney to come in and turn them into fucking Belgium in 2 months.
Yeah,
3 months,
that's exactly what they were expecting.
Absolute fucking madness, man. Give them a couple of transfer windows in a season at least. This is just football nowadays, unfortunately. I didn't see. I mean, Hibs aren't that sort of club, but it looks like that's the way things are nowadays. And again, I watched the semi-final on Saturday. I don't think Hibs played particularly badly either. I thought they were well in the game. And he's obviously trying to implement his philosophy. It's just a shame that not many people can stamp their philosophy like Ange does in the space of however many months. But football nowadays is madness. You can't perform miracles. The Hibs are on a decline. They've sold their best player. One of their top goal scorers got injured for the season. Everything was against him. Boyle was obviously sold. Everything was against him. Madness. You should at least get another window till at least next Christmas or so to see if he can implement his philosophy. But sad to see him go, because obviously with our club, the ties he's got, and he's obviously got a really good reputation working under Martinez. He's obviously going to have a decent future. You can see into management. It's ended up that way, but it's madness for me.
You can see Hibs going with the old and trusted managers now. Do you know what I mean? They've kind of took that step and they've shit themselves and they won't go back to the game. Yeah. Big Sam Allardyce coming up. And Graham Bell comes in. The transformation on their hands cannot be underestimated. Absolutely outstanding. Ideally, we'll do us a favour and get 3 points in Dingwall. 100%. And it kind of brings us to the end of the show here, William. It's been a great one. And a wee segment here, Guess the Player, because we haven't got enough for a quiz. So it's going to be pretty simple and straightforward. So you ready?
Okay. I've not been very great. I was a decent quizzer before. Then we started doing quizzes on here, and it's fucking awful, man.
Well, I mean, when I'm better on you, it's a shame, isn't it? Right, so we'll guess the player. I'm only going to do one or two because, to be honest, I haven't really prepared for this, so forgive me. And if anyone wants to get involved in the comment section, please do.
Help me.
Yeah. Now, you ready?
Yeah.
I started my youth football career at a club called Catholic United.
Is that Urugidi?
No, mate. No. Keep going.
Is that a signing this year?
I can't. Come on. I'll be giving you it on a plate.
Here's the next clue then.
the
CCV.
Yes, as Kevin said.
I knew it was a centre half.
CCV, the Frizz, CCV, and quickly, I'll just do that as the only one. Are we going to sign him permanently?
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. And guys, again, thanks for watching, taking part. The interaction has been great. The result on Sunday was absolutely horrible, yes, but we'll move on, wrap up the league. We'll hopefully get this double over the line. The Postlecoglou revolution continues. And William, as we always say, until Friday, stay well and keep safe.
Keep safe.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail, trips.